least you're doing this when people you
before
know.
we start, you guys.
Alrighty. So, first I'm going to start off with the refresher. Last week I gave you handouts of HIPAA information that you read over the last week, and we're going to just go over that a little bit today. So I'm just going to start off by talking about the reason why this all came to be. HIPAA policies came into effect in 1996. It was because originally in the early 1990s, there was a debate on, a national debate on many people were losing medical coverage. And during this time they found out, and the media kind of put a spotlight on, there was a bunch of medical confidentiality concerns. In some places they were being abused, in some cases they were being ignored. So this act came to help people with the confidentiality and maintain it. So even though it was started in 1996, it didn't actually become a rule, and the privacy rule came out in 2001. And then the compliance date, which is the main date that we as a dental office are most concerned with, is April 14th, 2003. As of April 14th, 2003, we all had to be HIPAA compliant. And what does HIPAA mean? Well, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act is broken down into 5 different rules. These rules are privacy, security, transactions, identifiers, and enforcement rules. The main ones that we are going to be talking about today, and the most important ones for our office, are the privacy rule and the security rule. So I'm just going to get rid of these other ones. The transactions, identifiers, and enforcement rules we'll talk about at another meeting. Alrighty, so privacy. The privacy rule establishes our basic standards and guidelines for the protection of personal health information. This is good for 2 things, and this is what the 2 things that I want you to take away from this is: it maintains appropriate safeguards in the privacy rule. So the most important thing is 1, safeguards, and 2, the second most important thing that I want you to take away from today is it gives patients rights. So patient rights. So patients have a right to their information. Patients have a right to keep that confidential, and patients have a right to know all of their own information. This is why the privacy rule is so important to us, is because we have proper forms, proper request forms, proper notices that we send to patients, proper authorization forms, and proper complaint forms. Now, these are something that in our office we have in the front office that works with us most. The back office people, we don't really do a lot of work with the forms. You just need to know that they are out there. So if patients request information, of course we'll give it to them. It's just they need to fill out the proper forms. The next one is the security rule. So everybody has got this, safeguards and patient rights. Alrighty. For the security, this we split into 3 areas. We split it into, sorry, let me just spread out my paper here. Administrative, and this is not administrative, right? This is not just with the front office. Administrative doesn't just mean only forms. This is about a team. This is a team effort, and people have to be informed as a team on the rules, and that's why forms are mainly handled by the front office, because they are the ones retrieving it, but you need to know about it. The second is physical. Physical safeguards. And the third is technical. Alrighty, let's get to these a little bit more in depth. So, administrative safeguards is for HIPAA security compliance team. And like I just said, it's for us to find you. So everyone make sure that they're up to date on their paperwork. Everyone make sure that you are aware of patients' rights and your responsibilities regarding their personal health information, their protected health information. The next one is the physical safeguards. So physical safeguards are things like barriers. So if we have charts behind a filing system, we have walls separating our different operatories. Those are physical barriers to patient information we don't want other people getting. Another physical barrier is how many people actually know about the information. If I am with a patient and I'm talking to them about their health information, it's for me to discuss with the patient. I'm not necessarily going to bring in another person who is not a part of their case. So it's going to be myself and the doctor who are limited to my person's specific health information. And so there are rules within the privacy rule that dictate what our safeguards are. So privacy is the main rule, and from this we get our security and other rules. So does anybody have any questions about physical safeguards? Does anybody have any questions about what we've talked about so far? No. Awesome. The next point I'm just going to go over, this is the last refresher point from the information that you guys went over, are the technical safeguards. Can anybody give me any kind of idea or example of a technical safeguard? So things that, I'll just give you a definition. Technical safeguards are authentication and encryption used to control data access. Yes?
Our little quotes that we have in our each person's account.
Exactly, exactly. So everybody types in with a different user code. You have your own password, and we also have things like our backups. Our server backup, we have to have a different one. A different person takes it home each night. These are our technical safeguards. Alrighty. So that's a little walk down memory lane. Now we're gonna get into some fun stuff. Okay. So I'm gonna have everyone don their glove. I did make, and Eric actually helped me last night make these little cute true and false cards, but I spilled coffee on them this morning in a rush. So we are actually going to put on, yes. So we're going to be, the Michael Jackson today. I'm just going to get everybody to put a glove on their right hand. This is going to be your truth hand. So we're going to play a game. Exactly. We're going to play the true and false 5-second quiz game. This is my own game that I came up with. I'm going to have you guys raise your hand if you think it's true, your right hand, and raise your left hand if you think it's false. Okay? So glove means true. No glove, not true. Alrighty, you have 5 seconds to answer. Quick. And every person who gets it right gets 10 points. Every person who gets it wrong, minus 5 points. So the person who wins this quiz, and I'm going to write down everybody's names and tally these. The person who wins at the end, if there's a tie you can both choose, but gets to choose where we get our next meal from at our next staff meeting.
Okay.
Alrighty, so there is a prize. Yes.
Oh, Lauren's ready.
I'm ready. What's craving right now?
I know, right? Just wait and see.
Alrighty, I'm just going to write this down. There are 10 questions.
Okay.
Alrighty. Here we go. Question number 1. Let's see if you guys were listening. Okay. HIPAA compliance date is April 14th, 2003. True or false? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh,
What now? I know. That was when it actually.
Alright, I'm going to let you go on that. Everybody got that right?
I was trying to.
That was your one freebie one.
That was your freebie.
That is it.
All right.
She got intimidated by the counting.
I was trying to remember, was it the date, that date for us, or the original date that it got instated? It was just, okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
No worries.
I'm
The
a little
dates-
slower.
Yeah, not a problem. Since the date has already passed, we have to be HIPAA compliant right now, so it's not really necessary to know the actual date that it started. Just know that we have to be
April
HIPAA
14th.
compliant right
We've had
now.
10 years to get it right
Or
there.
Yeah.
2003, okay.
Yeah.
April.
Okay.
Alrighty. This one's a gimme too. Okay, number 2. HIPAA, H-I-P-A-A, stands for Health Insurance Professional Accountability Act. True or false? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You guys are awesome.
We're with you, Lori.
Yeah.
We're all with you.
That's right.
You are. You are. Okay.
I happen to be a trivia professional.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, number 3. Practices will be expected to build soundproof rooms to prevent conversations from being overheard about other patients' conditions. Alrighty, let's go through that. Alrighty, you're right. That is false.
Yay.
People who are not necessarily HIPAA compliant, all the offices, and this is why, is because new offices that are being built today, they kind of are expected to build their walls to standard, and they should have not necessarily soundproof rooms, but entire walls. In our office, because it's really old, we only have the half walls, and so to maintain HIPAA compliance, we do other things like keeping our computers facing away, only having them in one direction, having music so that the sound doesn't necessarily travel.
We use our inside voice.
Use your inside voices. That's
Yes.
extremely true. Okay. Alright, number 4. The HIPAA privacy rule doesn't apply to any transactions that occur using the internet. True or false? Does not apply. Alrighty, you are correct. HIPAA is through all transactions. It's protected health information. So anything that we deal with, we cannot send it, for example, through email. We have to make sure that we go through the proper ways of giving out
Secure
information.
website.
Exactly.
Secure
Yeah.
whatever.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So HIPAA does apply to the internet.
Okay.
Number 5, HIPAA privacy rule requires that someone be appointed to oversee the facility's privacy operations.
That's honest. Better, Brad.
I didn't know if it was one person. Is it one person?
Yes,
You know you have
there
to have a
needs to
leader for
be,
stuff.
there does need to be a person in charge of HIPAA compliance at every office. So true.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Ours has not been designated. So that's one.
That's
reason
why it was confusing.
Yes, that's another reason to have this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, number 6. Washington's Uniform Healthcare Information Act. This is Washington's Act. Will only overrule HIPAA if it is more stringent rule. So the Washington will overrule HIPAA if it's a more stringent rule. 5, 4, 3,
Yeah.
2, 1. Okay.
Yeah.
It can never take away from the federal law, right? Just like regular laws.
Right, right.
Okay.
Okay, over.
We're gonna have to have a bonus round, I think.
tiebreaker.
Yeah. Okay. Number 7. PHI stands for Protected Health Information. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes.
Okay.
It does.
Sounds good.
Okay. Number 8. In some cases, it is permitted to disclose health information without patient permission. True or false? In some cases, it is okay to disclose information without patient permission. True or false?
Well, obviously an emergency thing, where there's no.
Yes,
need to
it
talk.
is true.
If they're
Yeah.
unconscious and there's
Right.
no one to contact.
And also, if you think about specialists,
Yeah.
referrals,
Yeah.
we don't necessarily need a patient to say yes if we want a consultation with a specialist who we're talking to about. If I need more information and I go to a different doctor, even though another doctor has done the exam, and I go to our other doctor to find out what we should do, what's best in this case, what he's on the phone, I need information, I can talk to that doctor. So in those cases, we do not need specific
Is it
written
implied?
proof.
It's somehow implied with talking with the patient about what the next step will be.
If the
That
patient's
would-
in the chair,
yeah.
then yes it is. But then
But
you'd
it's
also
not.
have his permission just by him being able to see that dentist. But if I'm
Mhm.
saying if he's at home and he
Mhm.
calls in and he wants to know what his next treatment plan is,
Mm-hmm.
the dentist isn't here and we talk to a different dentist,
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna go over it and discuss
Okay.
what's most
Got it.
important and he's gonna give his professional opinion. So, the specific cases for when this is okay is in our HIPAA privacy manual, which is located in this room at the top of this cabinet. So if you have any problems or concerns, one, you can come to me, two, you can look in this book. Number 9, business associates do not have to abide by the same HIPAA standards as the dental office. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is false.
Bam!
There you go. Good job.
I don't care how professional they are.
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay, so the reason why is, say our accountant, right, who does all the billing information, he goes through everything,
Mm-hmm.
he's part of the business side of things, he still is under the HIPAA policy rule, privacy
He
rule,
works with this office.
because he works with this office. And
Okay.
because he works with many, 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 many offices, he's an accountant for many dental offices, he has to make sure that he keeps
Yeah, you
to
can't
this
no
privacy.
leaks out to another office about
Exactly.
someone else's stuff.
Exactly,
Sure. Okay.
exactly. So he's got to stick to the privacy rules. So business associates
I was confused
do,
by the question.
they do have to abide by the same HIPAA standards. Alrighty. Number 10, an example of a business associate is the dentist accountant or lawyer. True or false?
Business associate?
Yeah, a business associate
I don't know.
is true. An example of a business associate is an accountant or a lawyer. So that is true. Alrighty.
Didn't I say true?
Yes, you did.
Oh.
Alright, the only one that got them all perfect is Michelle.
Nice! Wow!
You get to choose where we're getting our next meal.
Choose wisely.
I'll take it all.
Didn't
the
I get the
information
last one
from you
right?
guys.
Yes, you did. You got the last one right.
What about the other one?
I'll be happy.
The other one you did not get right.
What was it again?
It was true. It was false, and you said true. But it might have been the way I made the question.
Oh, no,
Because
I
it was business associate do
I
not
said
have
true.
to abide by the same. But the answer was false.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
not the same?
Yes.
It's all right. I'll be confirming.
It's
all
the-
of that.
Oh no, the way I said the question is business associates do not have to abide by it,
I misunderstood that one.
and they do have to abide by it.
Right. Got it.
Yeah. So that was a trick question. That was a tricky one.
That was.
I have to have
Couple of
some way to
words,
get,
yes.
Yeah.
get you guys on a different. I mean, otherwise you don't get perfect. Just know your stuff.
Mhm.
That's a good thing. Alrighty. So
Good to refresh about this stuff. though.
definitely.
Mhm.
Okay, so because we've already done our refreshers and everything, what we're gonna do next is we're gonna do kind of a case scenario. We're gonna do a case study. So we're gonna get into groups. The back office, you guys, and the front office are gonna get into teams. And so what I'd like you to do is come up with 3 different violations. 3 HIPAA violations that happen or occur on a daily basis. And come up with like a scenario, like so and so walked in, this happened, and give a scenario. Wow, Gwen, you're really strong.
I'm really mad or something. Really
With
mad. I
channel
missed
your
that
energy into that plastic fork.
Wonderful. Yeah, take it out on that fork.
Passionate.
Your frustrations.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. So I give you all a pad and a pen, and so I'll have you come up with 3 different. I'll give you some time to come up with 3 violations, and then you're gonna share your answers with the group. So as a group, come up with 3, not 3 each. So you can talk about this.
All right. What do you have? You're already writing stuff. What are you writing?
When we, sometimes, I did this once, that's why I'm writing it down. And I've seen us all do it at least once. It's just something that happens sometimes when you leave a chart open.
Mm-hmm.
and it's on a different person than in the chair, and they see it, it's
Yeah.
not really cool.
And also the appointment things are still being left
Or their
out.
treatment plan, or their
Mhm.
medications, anything like that in that computer showing they should know.
Good.
Yeah.
And then, also walking into it, like you said, if we're not, if it doesn't pertain to that patient, we shouldn't be there or discussing something else while they're,
In the room.
yeah, so if you walk in
Right.
and wanna shoot the breeze
So
with
Michelle the other day
somebody,
came up and she came up with a really good idea, or just a really good observation. So there was a person in the chair in a periodontal appointment. We have a specialist that comes in once a month, and so the periodontist and his assistant was seeing the patient. And even though the patient is a patient of record here, and we referred them to the periodontist, when Michelle went into the room, she went in to go kind of discuss another patient. She never said any information in front of the other patient, but the patient actually got angry that she was there, knowing her information, when it was an appointment with a specialist. So if you think about it, if a person we referred to went to the specialist's office, even though the specialist is going to fax us what his findings are, we're not there at the appointment. We're not sitting in on it. And we have to be aware of this. When patients are in the room with the specialist, they're there with the specialist, and we should be aware that they have their privacy rights, and anything that they're sharing with the specialist, he's going to then refer back to us with what his diagnosis is. He's not necessarily going to tell us everything that was stated in that appointment. So some patients just feel uncomfortable with sharing specific things with everyone, and so as an office, we just need to be aware that if we're walking into a
kind of
room,
pretend that it's a rental spot and we're not really.
yeah, I'd say with that, even though for the HIPAA policy, it's really that is definitely a gray area. They're in our office. They are a patient of record for us. We are ultimately doing the work here, and Michelle, you saw her 3 days later. She was coming back to
Yeah.
you.
And she
So-
was fine with me talking to her then.
Exactly. So that's not necessarily a HIPAA violation, but it is something to be aware of.
Yeah. And just discussing other patients, carte blanche in the hallway or something next to a room where another patient is. Who knows? They may know that person.
Right.
Through school, through work, through something, and all of a sudden, you know, who knows? I'm sure it doesn't happen. You know, we don't do that really that much. Talk about patients carte blanche, so we're pretty good at
Right.
keeping our focus.
Okay. So I'm gonna give a little scenario here, and I want you guys to tell me where the violations are. So a person comes in, and a front office person asks them if they are Mrs. Lonnie Taylor. Oh, hi, are you Mrs. Lonnie Taylor? And then she tells them, okay, okay, good, go ahead and see it. I'll tell the hygienist that they'll be ready to take you back in just a minute. Oh, and I know the assistant's going to take you back to do a filling on that number 18 there. So the patient sits down, and she comes back to the room, and the assistant seats her after she has her cleaning and says, oh, hi, I remember you. Yeah, oh, remember Bob? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember Bob. He was just here the other day, and he was here to do a crown.
Yeah.
And, oh, how is he doing? Oh, yeah, I heard about him. Oh, did you hear about his wife? She was a little bit sick the other day. Oh, yeah, they come in here all the time. Okay, so can you pick up?
A few things, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, what's an example of?
Well, the first one, of course, is both names.
Right,
So we'll just start with walking in the door.
right,
We're not saying
Yeah.
both names.
right,
We're not talking about her treatment today.
right. That's another one, yeah.
And there could be people in the waiting room hearing all this.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly,
That
exactly.
they don't want to hear it either.
Yep,
And then personal conversation about a patient with
Another patient. Yeah.
right, right. And
Okay.
it's funny though, like I have a friend that came in here and they were asking, oh yeah, how's so-and-so? And I had to really like think about what I said with them because they both are patients here.
Right.
And I have
It's
to
a
make sure I-
natural to just
Exactly.
talk.
Oh yeah, they were in here the other day. Well,
Sure.
actually, I can't even say that.
Right,
right,
I
right.
can't even acknowledge that that patient is a patient here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, you got the violations perfectly right. Perfectly
Yeah.
right. Okay, let's have you and share a few of them.
Okay, so showing the patients who is on the schedule for the day
Mm-hmm.
is a violation.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
And not having charts in a locked fireproof cabinet is a violation.
Yep. That's true.
And then talking about patients outside the office.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's true.
Mhm.
Very
That's
good.
very true.
Yep.
Okay. With the violations that I just stated,
Mhm.
can you give me, for each of those violations, can you give me 2 examples of ways that we can prevent that? So let's go with the first one. The
Mhm.
first one
Sure.
was saying the first and last name.
Sure, first name or last name.
Right. So that's one option.
Or ask them who they are.
Right. Yeah, you can. Yeah, exactly. So those are
And they
2.
will say what they want to say about that. I guess.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's
So first or last name, ask who they are. Second one, telling the patient in front of other people the purpose of their appointment, saying they have a filling in front of other people. What would be 2 ways to prevent that?
Not saying anything.
Do not state. That's exactly
Well,
right.
you just-
Don't state the way. And what's another one?
Or just being generic and say,
Yeah.
oh, we're just gonna be doing this work, or we're gonna be doing your work today.
Right.
Mhm.
You're also going to go to the
Restorative
doctor's
work.
side today.
Or restore.
Mhm.
Or restorative side, or wait till they get into the hygiene room, or tell the
Mhm.
hygienist
Talk
to
about it,
remind
yeah.
them, or if they come up to the desk and they specifically want to know, because this happens all the time. Well, what's it going to cost? What's this going to be? Possibly even if there is people listening, maybe take them into a different room even, and take them back. Oh, I'll. Why don't I take you back and I'll tell you about that.
Exactly.
Those are definitely good options. So not stating anything or telling them in a different area. Number 3, giving away patient information to another person. So having a conversation saying, oh yeah, they're a patient here. Even, yeah, like I said, that is. So what are 2 ways that we can prevent that?
Well, you just
Don't bring up that
discuss their
conversation.
patients.
Yep, either just don't talk about it with friends,
Yeah.
or
You let them know that you can't talk about that. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, letting them in on the HIPAA rules.
Right.
Just saying, hey,
right. And in doing that, acknowledging that
Yeah.
there are laws, there are privacy rules, and
Right.
that can even make them more trusting.
Right.
Right? That, they're going to go away after that. Oh my God, she just told me that Bob was a patient there.
Right.
What the hell? And
Yeah.
then she's going to be thinking, well, how many other people know
Right.
that I'm a patient there and know that I get done?
Exactly.
Is she
So,
talking about my cavity that I had to get done? Is she telling
Exactly.
people about my mouth?
Mm-hmm.
People get really
I
picky about that.
I had that weird thing where the patient I know as a customer, and I was like super straight with him and said, I don't talk about this outside of the office.
Yeah.
But then he went back to the cafe and told the gal there that he saw me here.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that weird thing. But I was
Yeah.
just like, yeah, well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that brings up a good point. So when you go back to the cafe and she's like, oh, I heard that Bob's a patient with you, then what do you say? So 1, he's already told her. 2,
I know.
what do you say? What do you think that
I
you
said,
should say?
well, I just said, yeah, and there are laws that we don't talk about.
Yeah,
that
that's
stuff.
exactly.
So,
yeah, he let the cat out of the
Yeah,
bag.
yeah.
But doesn't mean
Exactly.
it's an open
Right,
forum all
yeah,
of a
now
sudden.
But
we're
the thing
going
is
here.
that, once again, we're going back to the patient's rights.
Right.
This
Yeah.
is all about patient
Mhm.
rights. So when we're talking about patients, they can tell people about their
All
personal
they want.
information.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
completely fine.
exactly.
But
We can't.
Right.
And so that's exactly what you
Very
want to do.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So before we finish, just a few last things. I think we pretty much summed it up. Does anybody know why we would pick, like which one would we pick over the other? Ask who they are coming in, or whether we just don't say that, or we say or the first or the last name.
Just the first name would be the best.
Yeah, I'd say that rather than
that's
because
personal. It's personal enough, and they.
right.
Yeah.
And the first one you would choose it because most likely to make them feel
Yeah,
comfortable
more
coming in.
comfortable.
Well, and we're in a culture now where first names are more common. We
Right.
don't usually call people by Mr. and Mrs. If we were in that type of office, obviously, I mean,
Yeah.
you go with the culture,
Yeah.
with what makes
Yeah.
sense
Or
for
what,
that.
if I
We
know
do
that patient
have-
well enough, there's some I call Mr. and
Yes.
Mrs. and there's
Yeah.
some I call,
Well,
their
we also
name,
have a
just
nun
depends.
here and
And
a
a
and
sister.
a woman who
Yes.
was her husband used to be a doctor, so she likes to be called Mrs. Doctor so and so. And so there, I think it says even on their charts that you should call them by this name. But
Yeah.
sister,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say her full name, but she
she's
likes.
very nice.
Yeah, she's extremely
Very
nice,
nice.
but she wants you to put that sister in front of it, and she
Yeah.
also wants you to use her full name.
She's earned the title.
Uh-huh.
So if
Exactly.
That's what she likes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would say for her, just say sister and use her first name, and you can say her last name when she gets back. That one is different. She likes to be called by her full name.
Yeah.
So for dental purpose, not stating the reason why they're here, and if the patient asks what they're doing that day, taking them to a different room, which do you think would be the best option for that?
Oh,
Well,
I mean,
couldn't
once
you
you get
just let them know that we'll discuss that in the back?
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
I
When
think
we
that
get in
is.
the room.
Yep. Exactly. And what's your reason why doing that?
For privacy.
Yeah.
For not everyone else to know.
Right.
That's between you and I and the lamppost.
Yeah.
Or you and the
On the
other
operating
doctor.
chair. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty
We
much.
just want to protect your rights.
Yep. Okay, so let's just leave off with the last few things. Obviously, there are some pros and cons to these HIPAA policies. Our pros are, we just discussed mainly, we're protecting patient privacy. So we've gone over pros. Tell me some of the cons that you run into. Like, what are some problems with having these HIPAA policies? If I'm having to hand out a form all the time, what is a con with that? What is a problem with that?
It takes a lot more time
Takes
for
a
the
lot-
patient to get their records.
Exactly. It takes a lot of time. So when we're dealing with patients on a regular basis and they're like, oh, come on, I'm right here. Can't we just get this started? Can't we just get this done? What are you going to do?
Then we would probably fill out the forms right there,
Yeah.
so we can get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And isn't it kind of costly for copies of your or your paperwork? Doesn't it cost money for each
It is.
thing that you get?
And your
It
time.
is. And
Yeah.
be and also be aware that patients at other offices, I mean, we are really nice here. We don't charge to give them that
Right,
information,
But I have
but
had.
there are a lot of other offices, especially one that I used to work for, that it costs them $40 to get information, and that's because all the people over there have to get them to get the signature, fax it, and they're doing a bunch of paperwork for that. So yes, it can be costly, and the patient is not going to be very happy
When it's their own
with having to get their records
information.
transferred and the safety that goes with it. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Any other cons that you can think of?
It just takes more time for us to have to bring them back to discuss payments or
Yeah.
instead of just
Mhm.
doing it right up
Oh yeah,
front.
especially if we're busy and
Yeah.
we need Angela to go to the back to talk to a patient rather than
just
have
flip
them
a
talk in the
room.
front because there are patients waiting.
Completely.
And so there's not necessarily that neutral place where
Completely.
we can have them
Completely.
go so we can take care of
Yeah.
business on either
Yeah.
end.
No, absolutely right. So another way to around that would be like, especially when we have new patients come in,
Mhm.
we have a limited amount of time to get in a maximum amount of
Mhm.
treatment.
Mhm.
So using the consultation room, using that room, I think would be the best way in order to make sure that we are, one, abiding by the HIPAA rules, as well as time management
Mhm.
problems.
Mhm.
So that, yeah, that is a huge, huge problem. Alrighty.
And there are some people like, some people that want to talk and talk and talk up front, and they're talking about everything in their life.
Right.
And
Right.
we're trying to keep it professional, we're trying to keep it focused, and
So what would you do for that situation? What do you do? It's really difficult when they're standing there. Yeah.
Very difficult,
Yeah.
and I imagine find some privacy
Right. Completely.
as soon as possible.
Completely. Possibly
Get them away
even
from the
letting the
crowd.
patient know, oh, you know what? I feel like this should be between us in private. Let's go to this other room. And obviously they're going to, a lot of people, because they're not going to have the time to stay, are going to say, oh, no, I'll let you go. and then they'll go on. But at least you're letting them acknowledge that they're saying this to a room full of people, because not
Right.
everybody realizes
They
that.
might not think of that.
Exactly, they just don't. So letting them know, I think, is the major thing, and if they want to keep continuing to talk in front of everybody else, then you've at least let them know
You're
about
giving
it.
them their out.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Alrighty. Hope you guys had a good
Document
lunch, and this was
That was
good
great.
to
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no
That was
worries.
very good.
Yeah, thanks.
Good job.
Yeah.
Okay, I like to learn. Oh, now I'm an educated kid.
Mm. Yeah, that was good.